To Agent Engineering, a YouTube channel where we are building agent framework from scratch in Go. This episode 8, and today we will be continuing our integration with a couple of uh, model providers, and then we'll start our work with control plane. So I know I've been on uh, vacation or off streaming for the last 1 month. So we have some catching up to do. Uh, so there's been a lot of updates in the AI world. So new models are out and new tools are getting released. And Cloud Code is making a lot of advances. But we'll continue on our track of building a open agent framework that will solve for the beginning the coding workflows end to end, and we'll focus on building this framework so that we can build production ready apps. Right? So that is where we are at. So let me start. By sharing my screen. Right. So this is the map of what we have done so far and what we're going to do, right? So in the last stream, if you folks were watching, uh, we did integration with Quen, right? So this is a local model running on my local machine, and we routed same kind of queries that we routed to these models, this model providers, to Quen using Olama, right? So that is what we did last stream. So this stream will continue and we'll see a deepseek. So I've already done some work off stream because we've been off for a month. For the first few minutes, I'll go through the changes that I've done off stream, which includes integration with deepseek and fixing a couple of bugs with Quen, right? And once we've gone through those changes, then we'll start with the main work today, which is developing a control plane. So what I mean by control plane here is that it's going to be, so currently our application is a command line application. So we give uh, our command, our instructions as flags, right? So what we're going to do is uh, we're gonna create a UI which is going to control our application, right? So our agent that we are running will be observable in that UI. So what is doing, what is the current unit of work it is doing, and what is the progress and all, we should be able to see in one view, right? So that is what the control plane is about. And also we will be sending more instructions. So we as agent users, right, will be sending instructions to agent of what it should do next via control plane, right? So via this UX that we're going to build, right? So this week we're going to start with that, and the first thing that we'll build is something like, so what we're going to build is a server, right? So we'll start with the setup of a basic server where currently we're sending the instructions or goals to our agent, coding agent via command line. Can do the same thing via an HTTP endpoint, right? Which we can then continue using via our UI, right? So that is what we're going to do today. Before that, uh, uh, we'll go through the changes that I did on stream, right? So this is mainly concerning modeling integration and namely deepseek. So yeah, let's jump to the coding aspect. So as you see, I already created an episode 8 branch, and there are already a couple of changes that are here. So one thing I've changed the roadmap.md file with this roadmap. I think I discussed this last week. So this is an Excel one that I'm also committing in this repo so that we can follow along how our what we're going to do next, what is remaining, what has been built, right? So it's easy to communicate. Any new person coming to the stream can take a look at this and see what is happening, right? And the relevant code is here. Yeah. So let's go through some of the changes that I did off stream. So the main thing I did is uh, integrate with deepseek, right? uh, so as you know, it was in our roadmap to uh, allow deepseek as a model provider for us, right? uh, Mainly because it is much cheaper than the other models, right? And for some tasks we can offload to deepseek, right? Last stream we had integrated with Olama, uh, specifically Quen 3 coder model via Olama, right? So in that I have made a couple of changes, which is uh, so I just rename this metadata to inference metadata. So every time we run the inference, uh, the execution code should tell what is the cost of it and how much time it took, right? So for Olama, because it's running on our local machine, the cost is zero, right? So we're not paying any cost for that, but we're doing the time. The one main change I did, because there was a issue last stream, is where is that change? Give me a minute. Uh, reload stream. Oh, I'm checking opening. Sorry. Right. Give me a minute. These are just superficial changes. I renamed a function. Yeah, I lost the change that I made just now. Okay, this guy. So so last stream, if anyone watching remembers, so we were facing an issue where our the Olama results were first of all very slow. It was taking like 30 seconds to return anything. That was the one thing, and it was returning like one word at a time, right? So one fix I did was I just made the streaming config false. So apparently it's true by default, right? It will stream back the tokens to us in this. So we don't want that actually. We want the assistant or the model to give chunks of text that we can further process on, right? Streaming maybe we will be useful for us later, but not at this point, right? The other change that I made is that I was running the Quen model on this computer that I'm running. So it's a NVIDIA 4070 Ti GPU, right? It's 12 GB VRAM. Uh, but then with the streaming setup and all the my coding and the model, it was pretty slow. So I'm running this on my laptop, which is quite a good MacBook Pro, right? And uh, I'm accessing it via my local network, right? So that is how, if you see now, the speed of these actions is pretty fast, right? I mean, it's not that fast, but it's comparable to the speeds that we get elsewhere. So for this particular thing, it took 1.2 seconds, which is kind of acceptable for us at this point. So there is a trade-off here between cost and time, right? So we spend more time doing something, but we pay nothing. Whereas for Anthropic, we might be paying a lot, and uh, it's pretty fast, right? So that is the trade-off we are going to make per instruction that we make of what kind of model that we want to use For now, we are building the capability that we can send the same instructions to all the model, any of the models, right? So as we go further, we will have some evaluation mechanism for which instruction, which tasks can be done by which models, and then we can route them appropriately, right? So before any of that, we have to get started with the control plane. Yeah, but let me complete the DeepSeek integration. So this is the only thing that I will cover uh, on the stream that I've done uh, uh, between the two streams. Uh, mm, the rest of are pretty superficial changes, right? You can see in the commit code of what they've been doing. So one thing to call out of way to integrate with DeepSeek is that it is compatible with OpenAI API, right? And they themselves suggest us to use OpenAI uh, library, right? So they suggest us to use OpenAI library. So then with this, right? So official instruction is for that. So what we're going to do is, what I did was copy paste the OpenAI code into a new file, rename everything DeepSeek, right? What we have to do is just hijack these two things, right? Uh, we pass the base URL to be the DeepSeek host, right? And it is written in this environment file. I'm not going to open it on live on stream because it also has API secrets. I don't want those leaked, right? So this is the only two things we have to do to override everything, right? Everything, most of the rest of the things remain same, right? So we are still talking to an open AI client. It's just routing the call to DeepSeek. So that is the first thing to note in this integration, right? So the code for run inference does not change at all. I just changed the model name, right? So in DeepSeek there are two models, right? So there is DeepSeek Chat, DeepSeek Reasoner, right? So for now we are going to hard code that we are going to use DeepSeek Chat. Later on, we will change our interface so that we accept which model to use as a parameter, right? We don't want to hard code anything, right? And we have I mean, soon we will do this, but for now, this is integrate. We just want to test the integration, right? So this is fine. So that is the main change. Rest everything is kind of same, right? So we can run inference taking messages, tools, and send out messages generated by LLM, right? And we do all the compute cost, compute time taken, all those stuff, convert them into the structs that we have interfaces we have defined, right, to abstract away any differences in the OpenAI or Anthropic or Olama interfaces. So, and then we just return, right? So this is pretty straightforward. Uh, other one thing to note, right? So DeepSeek confidently says that we should use the OpenAI library, right? But apparently it does not support a response format as JSON schema, right? So when we make an inference, we cannot say that generate the schema, right? So for that purpose, what we have to do is do the hack that we did for Anthropic, right? Because Anthropic also has a similar limitations. And the hack for it is that instead of asking it to generate a schema, we give it a kind of a fake tool, generate structured schema, with the schema that we want to generate, right? And so this is the trick. We give it as a tool, right? So we create a fake tool and we say that you must use this tool for this particular action, right? So we force it as a tool choice. And then we do the inference, right? And then everything is done. We use the tool. So we must actually, in the response choices, we must only look at the tool calls, right? Because we should be certain that a tool call will be uh, mm, inferred by the LLM, and then we take those arguments, we unmarshal the JSON, which we sure should uh, adhere to the schema, right? So if it doesn't, then we just return this error, right? And once this is done, our response will have the structure, right? So this is how we do for deepseek, and of course the cost is much lower. So you can see I have added this here, so it's uh, 0.28, and you can go through that. So I've added the cost calculation here, right? So this is how we get this. So okay, this is for Olama, but this is how we would get this cost when we do for DeepSeek, right? So I'll quickly do a demo that this is working. I've tested it offline, but I'll just show the taste of what it is, right? So we run our agent coding agent built using this agent framework. We give the environment file to the correct place where we have the secrets and everything, right? We ask it, give it a goal, like explain this project, and we have to change the provider to deepseek, right? When we do this and when we debug, okay, we don't need to debug. I'll debug this offline. We just see the result, right? So if you see, uh, so the first order of business for our agentic flow is to create a new branch in the project, right? Which is just chess tail. If you saw earlier, we created a new branch, right? So it cost us $0. I think there's some problem with the cost calculation here. Okay, okay, this is an issue. Okay, we'll look into it. But if you see, the rest of the stuff is correct, right? The branch name that it predicted is correct. It took 2 seconds, is a bit slow, but fine. Then its tool calling is correct. It's saying, okay, let me read this directory. It found something. It's found the qa.md file in our chess app, chess tail app. And then it also found idea, and it's trying to read these files. It read git, but I don't know why it's reading it. And then at the end of the day, it says updated the qa.md, which is our instruction for this agent. If we ask a question, update it in the qa.md. This is kind of primitive memory that we've created for now, right? Uh, so that we don't lose anything, right? And then it says that, okay, what I find in the existing QA file is that this is something regarding to chess, right? And I think the cost calculation is coming up, but there's some issue with this here. It's either too low to be registered, but I don't think it should be too low. Let's go through the logic a little bit, right? So the function for it is this, right? So we use it to generate structured response, which is fine. How about run inference? Okay, this is the issue. Actually, we are using the OpenAI's one, right? So when we do that and we provide model as DeepSeek, it will pass through all of this and it will give 0, right? So that is why it is happening like that. So the only for the generate inference it is taking the cost, right? Right. So basically with this fix it should work. I will not test again and waste tokens and time. So at this point all our integrations are working, right? So if you move here and you can change the code to black, that means all of this is done, right? So we have our model integration is in place. Let me make a commit so that we have stuff. The rest of the changes, if you see, is just renaming some variables. I'll not go through them. In LLM, I just added this thing so that we have the right. Correct. So in our agent framework, we have integrated with all these models: Anthropic, DeepSeek, Google, Olama, OpenAI, right? So Quen 3-coder via Olama. So we have like good set of models that we have integrated to. So our agent framework now use some kind of a router to decide which one to send the query to, right? Okay, now let me close everything and start with the work that we have lined up today, right? So what we are going to build is a control plane. For now, we will build the server. Later will come the UI, but we can see how much we can do in one stream. So the server, basically what we're going to do is we trigger an agent session using an API endpoint, right? And okay, so I got a comment just to address a YouTube comment here. Narayan Bear, I don't know how to pronounce this, is asking, Naran Bear is asking, what is the channel about and what you're doing. So, right, so this is a frequently asked question. So I'll just quickly redirect to my website, agentengineering.dev, which is also the name of the channel, and just quickly go through like so this website and this channel is about a new discipline called agent engineering, right? So us engineers, I feel we are moving from a paradigm of we building software to AI agents building software, and we will be kind of, you know, developing the agent itself, right? Developing or tweaking or configuring the agent rather than building actual software. And we have to figure out like what is this new coding agent look like. So it will look something like cloud code, but we are giving like a fresh attempt to this problem on this channel, and we will be building that coding agent or agent framework in general from scratch uh, on stream live, right? And it will be in Go, right? So you can go through this FAQ. I will add it in the link so that you can go through. Yeah, let me know if that answered your question or if you have any follow-up. Thanks for the question. Cool. All right. Continuing with this. Right now, so this is the command line application. You see we've accepting some flags, and we are passing the flags as an input, right? So we have to convert this into kind of an API request. So the first order of business is create a server, right? So in Go, the simplest way to create a HTTP server is via gin, right? So we're gonna do that. Let me open the gin. Get a page that we have all the details required. So what we're gonna do is let me do a go get on this. Right. And then we just need this as a main function. Okay? Let me rename this name for now. All right. This is our old main function. We'll use a lot of code here. It does a lot of stuff which we're going to abstract as an agent, right? But for now, let's hook up with our I'm going to run this quickly, right? And instead of running our program, it's going to start a, right? And let me do x, right? I don't need to follow this. It should work. Okay, it's sending bonk. Oh, so this works. That's good, right? All right. Let's cut all of this and create a agent. And as we discuss the first agent that we've created is a git agent, right? The meaning of git agent. Uh, uh, so it has some git hooks in it and the agent loop, right? So that is why we are naming it as a git agent. Yeah, and whatever it needs at this point, will be provided to it as inputs, right? So let's call this function run session. So create agent session, right? And then we have role, provider file. Okay, string split. Let's just do this for now. Okay, this should not be here. Okay, so the end file will still be an input to our server that we start, right? So we did do this, we do all of this, and we load. Right? So this is the first order of business, which is loading the end file, right? Then a bit sore from my exercise. All right. So now let's actually say that this is create session endpoint, and instead of sending POM, okay, instead of sending it specific stuff, okay, we have to move a lot of logic here, so we can slowly, yeah, okay, let's do the C dot context C dot, yeah, how to get body down trim rats next dot body. Right. Now what we have to do is from this gen body, parse. Let me just Google it and see. Oh, so this is the way to do it. I looked it up on. Right, so basically, we expect this guy to send us this particular JSON as request body, and then we use it everywhere, right? So right, let me move the system prompt also, but then also go. Okay, everything else should be okay. Let me move the system prompt from here to our kit agent, right? Because this is very specific for our kit agent. Name it later. Right. Okay. So we moved a couple code, some block of code here, session metadata. Okay. 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 It looks good to me. Right. So what we have to do here is this. Let's send this. Right. Actually, we should stream back these events. We should stream back these events to the same point. We should not send individual messages. We should structure them the way we are logging here, right? The log. Okay, I lost the log. Okay. We should structure it and send it here, right? So because these are individual events that when an agent session is created, the caller would be looking for. So this should be that particular thing. For now, we will just say c.json. Okay, right? And we can actually visit a message is this thing, right? We'll continue to print the result, but we'll also send it as an endpoint, right? This is our attempt to map everything under one call. Ideally, it should stream back events which we need to. Correct. Okay. Shall I test this? Let's test. Okay, that's a good point. Path. Okay. We don't need this anymore in our run, right? You still want to run our. Is it still reading code from here? Okay, because we're passing. Okay, it's not complaining because we're passing code. We should not, right? So we should do create session. Did we add it as a get or a poster? Get, it should be post. Let me start again. Goal, yes. What is this project? So from our last stream, a goal can be either an instruction to add to update the code in our project a little bit, right? Or a question, right? If it's a question, it will update the qa.md file. If it's an instruction, it will create a branch with the code changes required, right? So that's the deal here, which I have to give provider, right? So let's continue with Olama because it doesn't cost us money, right? So I do spend. Okay, problem. Still sending pound. Okay, this is here. Okay. Okay. We should not do this. We should JSON Marshall. Let me just Google something quickly. Am I making a mistake? Looks correct. This error JSON Marshall. I think it is failing here, right? Bind JSON. Okay. R. I'm sending goal provider. Oh, what's wrong? CC request body. Okay, it should be a pointer. Right. So everything is happening as planned, right? But at the end of the day, you get the response as an HTTP, right? Okay. Okay. Agent session, 10 seconds, zero cost. Brilliant. And we didn't do anything much here, but we have structured our mm, code to better serve for what we're going to do with this, right? Which is, I think, a great place to stop this stream today. It's a short one, I know, but I am back from a long break, so this is kind of a warm up one I wanted to do to get the ball rolling, and we made some progress. All our integrations are done, right? We are on this track, right? Server later we're gonna do UI, right? So overall, I think we are in a good place to continue our project, right? So what I'm going to do is let me save this here, save file so that it's like this. Okay, so we have that here. Say start control play server. Push this to episode 3. Oh, should have our latest branch, which is episode 8, and what we should do is create, we should merge this to master actually, because why does what is this comment that it is behind? I didn't pull changes. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's see what these changes are. Oh, this is nano. Oh my god. I don't know the instruction for this. Let's see. In. Come on, man. Oh, write out. Okay. Name merge. Write out is done. Exit. I don't know this at all. Kill this guy. It's about the previous mod. the control X in this guy was hijacked. Okay, but what is the previous change? What is this change? No merge conflicts, so changes to ban. Okay. Okay, this is all. Oh, I can do this also. Cool. I think I can end this stream here. Thanks everyone for joining. Uh, thanks. I think we got our first actual question today. So thanks for that. Yeah, we will continue on our effort with building the server and our control plane UI. Yeah. Until then, take care. See you.